is the G1 podcast.
이번 역은 서울역입니다.
What is good, G1 podcast listeners? This is your showrunner, GP here. Thanks again for joining me. You're about to be treated to the second installment of my piece on the impoverished elderly here in Korea. If you didn't catch the first part of it, I highly recommend checking it out. The link is in the description, or you can find it via my SoundCloud page or whatever podcast app you're tuning in from. For this episode, as in the last one, I was joined by reporter Jun Sung-cho. She's the female voice you'll be hearing a lot of. We'll get to the other credits at the end of the episode, so without further ado, here it is. Good morning, Sung-cho.
Good morning, GP.
It's not as cold today, which is nice and good for what we're doing. We're outside.
There's so many people just lining up for the free lunch today.
Where are we right now?
We're in Mulledong area in Yeongdeung-pogu district. And you see the big contrast between the Times Square building over there across the road and these almost falling down, these old buildings and back alleys just full of homeless people and Jjokbang residents. And we're right by the Kwangya Church, where they provide free lunch every single day for those residents.
There's a lot of people. You know how many people come here for this free lunch service?
Around 400 people come to get the meal every single day. And so I heard that the Jjokbang area, the shantytown in Mulledong, is actually the biggest Jjokbang areas in Seoul. It comprises of around 2,000 Jjokbang residents. So maybe that's why we see a big number of people coming to get the meal every single day.
Let's take a walk around and see what we can find. Making our way around the area, we were taken a bit off guard by how much less friendly people here seem to be compared to the residents we encountered on our first Jjokbang neighborhood visit. As it turned out, there were actually two lunch services going on daily, both run by church groups, the difference being that one charged a nominal fee of 200 won and the other was free. Interestingly enough, the 200 won lunch had a far longer line than the free lunch that Sung-cho and I were volunteering for. Yeah, we just heard a train passing by. It's located literally right next to the tracks. It's pretty nuts.
We're under the tracks.
Actually, we're right under the tracks. It smells of steam and rice.
Yeah, big portions.
Yeah, they are really big portions,
And
huh?
a variety of banchan,
Yeah.
small dishes.
I
I would gladly have a meal like that and pay for it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It seems like something that you might pay for.
누구 하실 거예요?
네, 저 두 분이 하실 거거든요.
감사합니다.
요 삼각 비스
감사합니다. Straight into business.
Yeah. You can wear gloves and an apron.
Yes, ready to serve food.
So it looks like we're serving kimchi. There's a
Marinated
gochu, the steamed eggs, and then there's that awesome purple rice that I like so much. And there's soup, and they're giving out bread. All right, let's do what we're here to do. People are waiting outside this tent, actually, so it's kind of hard to see how many people are waiting. Oh, wow, no, now I can see. Yeah, far outside the tent. You can see them going straight through the parking lot. That's got to be at least 100 people.
So obviously there's not enough seats for all these people to eat together. So there are more people lining up than actually people eating.
You know, usually when you have the idea of like serving food, community service type events in the West, the idea is that you're also provided with warmth, like on the inside of a shelter, but this is literally a tent in the middle of a parking lot. We were very grateful it wasn't snowing, not just for ourselves serving the food, but for those anxiously waiting in the winding line outside the tent. Very few words are exchanged.
Yeah, just
Between anyone, like working here, between...
come, eat, and leave right away.
Very different from the communal atmosphere of the...
Yeah, because if they
Dongcha.
come here on a daily basis, they must get to know each other.
I get a feeling that a lot of this is being alone together, you know?
If I was just passing by here, I wouldn't have noticed that it was run by a church. There are no crosses or any signs of Christian.
There's no signs at all.
Yeah.
Nothing to mark what this is.
And it looks like they all know the routines here, as in like where to get the food and where to get the utensils.
It's very
It's like-
orderly.
Yeah, yeah. So it seems like they come here every single day.
It was at this point that our associate producer Jamie sat down with a few of the regulars to find out how they felt about the free lunch service.
뭐가 제일 맛있으세요?
All of the side dishes are delicious, and the people working here treat us very well.
집에서 주무시는 건 편하세요?
No, it's not comfortable, but I sleep. It still makes me happy. I tell myself it's happiness and go to sleep. The government is doing a great job, providing us with a place to sleep. We should be thankful that the country is providing what it does.
할머니는 어디 사세요?
We live together. I'm old and I can't even see properly, which makes it hard. But I've met a lovely lady, which makes me feel a little warmer. Sometimes she doesn't eat, but takes care of me, so I call her my younger sister. Because she's so nice, she has a lot of luck wherever she goes. Even all of the men here are so nice. They don't mistreat me for being old. They even offer me some of their food. We just need to be thankful for this.
할머니 지금 제일 뭐가 먹고 싶으세요?
How much can an old person eat? It should all be given to the young ones. I feel like I'm stealing food from young people. Even when I'm lining up here, I always feel so sorry. If I stand at the back of the line, the young people are so nice that they always tell me to eat first. I'm so thankful.
The females were far more vocal about their feelings than the males, who constituted at least 95% of the lunch guests. Everyone's gratitude seemed to be for the food though, and if that gratitude also extended to the people serving it, well, we selfishly wished it would.
Alright, so how do you guys feel after you did some good volunteer work?
I don't know. I thought I would have had more interaction with people. I think if I had more interaction with people, I'd have felt more accomplished and, oh, I did a great job today. But not so much of that. Because I was just like a robot, just rationing food.
I feel completely and utterly indifferent. I literally could have been sitting on like the subway you hear passing overhead. There's no sense of charity in doing what I just did. And if that's the reason you're doing it, you're not going to get that. But some people believe that you shouldn't necessarily have that. It's not about you. It's not really about how I feel. So if that's what you believe, that's fine. But if you're looking for some sort of sense of worth in this experience, you're not going to find
exactly.
that. Let's go ask some more questions.
In attempts to reconcile our initial expectations with the reality of the experience, and to find out what other resources were available to the impoverished citizens of Seoul, we spoke to Jang Chang, director of the Yeongdeungpo Gwangya Church Homeless Center, an affiliate of the Yeongdeungpo Jjokbang Counseling Center.
저는 정병창입니다. 여기 광야 홈리스 센터.
First, I asked about how the hundreds of unemployed elderly living in the neighborhood were able to pay their rent.
수급자, 기초생활 수급자.
So 60 to 70% of Jjokbangchon residents are basic livelihood security recipients.
The Basic Livelihood Security Program is Korea's primary welfare program, and as of 2011, the latest dataset I could find covers only a fifth of the 15% of the population estimated to live in relative poverty. When we narrow that demographic down to just the elderly, it becomes nearly half that are considered impoverished, making Korea the frontrunner in old age poverty amongst the OECD's 34 member states. A possible explanation for this being the Basic Livelihood Security Program's strict eligibility requirements, which, in addition to age, factors in income, assets, and the possibility of assistance from relatives. To find out what other forms of assistance were available, particularly what the municipal government was doing for the city's impoverished population, we reached out to a social welfare worker for comment.
I'm Park Sung-yong from the Seoul Council on Social Welfare, which runs the Seoul Food Bank. The Seoul Metropolitan Government supports daily necessities, particularly a lot of food products, through the Seoul Council on Social Welfare or Seoul Food Bank. During the summer, we provide fans, and in the winter, we provide heating appliances. From time to time, we also do house repairs as well.
In addition to those basic survival aids, the Gwangya Church itself provides a range of programs geared towards long-term change.
So there's an educational program that they recently started this year. People who weren't able to attend middle school and high school, they get classes to take school qualification exams. There are also programs that encourage people to quit smoking and drinking. There are classes where people can learn how to save up money to become independent. There are also counseling programs, and they help them move out of those Jjokbang village. And there are actually people who meet their future spouses in the center. So if they do want to get married, then they also get support to have the weddings and start a new family. There are about 30 centers throughout the entire city, like this one. But yeah, the programs are pretty much similar throughout the city.
He also mentioned that the center offered free housing to over 60 individuals. Surprisingly though, the free housing wasn't a popular option because of the regulations that the residents must follow. Suddenly, the dichotomy between what's being offered for free and what's being taken away from the recipients became obvious. Free housing at the expense of liberty, free meals at the expense of dignity.
The people that we served lunch today, it was very transactionary, it was very cold. I didn't really feel like I was being treated like a human. Perhaps they feel the same way too.
기본적으로 이제 혼자 외롭게 살고 있고 당장
Because their main purpose is to get food, coming to a center like this one and getting in line and get free meal, it's not as easy as it sounds. They rather just eat ramen or less quality food than coming here and get the food. It has to do with a sense of dignity and sense of pride also. That's why coming to the place and getting food is not a really enjoyable practice. They don't come here to mingle and have fun, but they just come here to eat food, and that's it.
조금 그렇게 느껴질 수밖에 없어요.
We weren't able to piece together why the 200 won lunch had more patrons than the free one until that very instance. Craving but still lacking a sense of satisfaction from our volunteering experience, we asked him when he personally was rewarded with such gratification.
When he sees those people finding the purpose of life and getting employed and getting married, being able to live by themselves, actually being able to support themselves, to see those kind of people, he feels very rewarding.
그때가 가장 보람되겠죠, 당연히.
Still feeling conflicted and hoping to make more sense of all the things we witnessed and the emotions we felt during our 2 Jjokbang visits, we asked the director to take us into a residence and introduce us to one of the residents.
Wow, this place is dilapidated. Okay, the door is blocked off, so I actually literally have to squeeze through a quarter of the door.
Oh wow. I need to take off my backpack. Wow.
We're entering a man's room.
안녕하세요.
There's literally not enough space for me to
Yeah. I'll just
put my
stand
backpack
here.
down.
Can't barely sit down on
We
the
can barely
floor.
sit. Thank you so much for talking to us.
안녕하세요.
Could you tell us about that picture?
나하고 집사람하고.
It's me and my wife, but my wife passed away last December, so now I live alone.
혼자 앉아.
I'm sorry to hear that. How long have you been have you been living here?
여기서 영등포.
I've been here in Yeongdeungpo for about 45 years, but I haven't been in this room for too long.
옛날에는
In the old days, I had all sorts of jobs, including manual labor. My wife became ill from a disease and suffered for 10 years before passing away. Before moving here, we had a rented room in the 3-story building you see over there. When she was sick, she would become angry at me and I would fight back. I regret that.
내가 화를 내고 저랬던 게 그게 후회가 돼.
He goes on to tell us about his daughter and son, his eyes now watering. He says his son keeps telling him to move in with him rather than suffering in this tiny room. He tells us he's going to move in with his son, the lack of certainty in his tone and the watery eyes giving way to tears that momentarily silenced our conversation. Nevertheless, when we asked him about his favorite parts of daily life, he decisively answered that it was when he was on his way to work.
저는 그 자활이라고.
At the moment, I work in a self-support program. So each month I make around 700 or 800,000 won. There are a few different types, but I'm with the city farming team. We work on little vegetable gardens. I do it 5 days a week from 9 to 4 p.m. in winter, and in summer from 9 to 5 p.m.
9시부터 5시까지.
He was proud that he could still provide for himself, just like the elderly who collect cardboard in the tiny alleys of my neighborhood, the ones I've spent the better part of my time in Korea ignoring. I could no longer turn a blind eye to them, and during the walk home, all the juxtapositions that the city had to offer suddenly became so apparent.
Standing outside of Yeongdeungpo Station, and if you turn left outside of exit 6, you can head back to where we just were, the Gwangya Church and the surrounding Jjokbang area. But right here on the other side, if you turn right outside of exit 6, you have this mega shopping area. Sungcho, how far do you think we walked in between these two areas?
Probably not even 100 meters. Just standing here, I can't even imagine. If I weren't there before, I wouldn't have imagined that a place like that exists so close from here.
If I was gonna walk away from this experience with one thing changed, it was that all these people that I've kind of disregarded in the subway station, like, yeah, they look like they might be kind of filthy. I'm gonna steer a little bit further away from them. Recognize that they come from a situation that they didn't have a hand in creating, that the society kind of is what it is. There's a lot of other factors at play. Accepting help is not that easy either.
Exactly.
I think support for livelihood stabilization is important, and helping the residents to escape from the neighborhood is also needed. Also, we should constantly provide jobs so they can become financially independent.
그런 방향이 필요할 것 같습니다.
밥을 주는 것도 어떤 사람들은 이걸
More than 70 to 80% of people don't like the idea of providing free meals and all kinds of support to homeless people. They might complain that, oh, they're not working because they are getting free things from the society. But we have to keep in mind that these kind of problems also come from the structure of the society, and we have to have a sense of responsibility as living in the same community.
바라봐 줬으면 좋겠다 하는 말씀을 드리고 싶습니다.
Special thanks to Christina Suh for her amazing production insights. Associate production and logistics by Jamie Lee. Reporting by Jun Sung Cho. We were translated by Hansel Ju. And special thanks to Linda Jun as well as Dr. Gang over at SNU Hospital. In March, we are returning with more lighthearted topics, exploring a few items that are made right here in Korea. So please do subscribe because you won't want to miss them. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a personal favor, hit that like button on Facebook. And if you got comments, hit me up on Twitter. Both links are in the description. Until next time, this is GP for the G1 Podcast.
이번 역은 사당역입니다.